Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Village of Waukesha. Tonight is Thursday, May 28th, 2020, 6:30 p.m. We're called to order. Nice to see all the people in the audience tonight. Would you please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Not always that you have the posting of the flag like that live during the Pledge of Allegiance, right? Thank you.
Backwards.
All right. Roll call, please.
President Fisher?
Here.
Trustee German?
Here.
Trustee Stigler?
Here.
Trustee Durr?
Here.
Trustee Kalinsky?
Here.
Thank you. Item 4 is open meeting law compliance check. The statement reads, the agenda was posted on the 3 village public notice boards, the village website, and distributed to all news media requesting notification in accordance with the open meeting laws on Wednesday, May 27th, 2020. Kathy, is that a correct and accurate statement?
Yes, that is.
Okay, thank you. Item 5, communications with village residents. I've got 3 quick things to address. Perhaps somebody else on the village board does. One is just a reminder, and I've been reminded of it by a number of people. Please, when you speak into your microphones, get up close and personal. That's for everybody at the table here and anybody that comes with the public as well. If you go back and look at some of the YouTube recordings, some of us don't get real high marks for being able to be heard. So we want to hear what you have to say. Get to the microphone. Second thing would be, and Kathy's a bit of an impromptu, but let's remind people, once again, one of the best ways to get communications from the village of Waukesha. We often have people with an issue that involves them say, why didn't you tell me, type of thing. How do people sign up? What's the best way that we communicate with village residents, please?
If you go to the village, or it still says Town of Waukesha website, go to the document center. It says agendas and minutes. Once you get into the document center, go ahead and sign up for email notifications. Whenever something new happens in the town or changes, I quickly put it through to a news blast. So when, for instance, when the large pickup started again, that was a news blast. When we had an emergency proclamation, that was a news blast. So a good way to do that is to get that sent to your email directly by signing up for email notifications. On the website, it does give you step-by-step on how to do just that.
Okay, thank you. I have a third item just for communications with village residents, and that's to announce to people we do have some open positions for village officials. Those of you who either were present or looked at the meeting we had 2 weeks ago, we basically, in our transition from town to village, reappointed all the existing positions, but there were a couple of open positions, and we've got a couple of resignations. So quickly, those would be, we did have a vacant position for village plan commissioner that would be a citizen of the village. So that's a position that needs to be filled. In addition to that, I just, even after the agenda was published here, and we'll get to this when we get down to item 8M and N on the agenda, but Scott Fuller, who's been a Plan Commission member for the past year, who was up for reappointment, expressed an interest in not being reappointed. He expressed his gratitude for being able to serve for a year, but he says some personal and family reasons that he'd like not to continue on. So that leaves us, and I will get you a formal copy of his brief email communication about that. So that will leave us with 2 Plan Commission members to fill, and we'll want to do those with relatively quick dispatch here. We also have a vacant position on the Village Zoning Board of Appeals. And finally, I do believe I have just even delivered to me tonight, Trustee Kalinsky has indicated and I haven't even read this, but your pleasure to resign from the Fire Commission inasmuch as you have now been elected to the position of trustee. Is that, I mean, you can speak to it personally?
That's
paraphrase that?
correct. In a nutshell, that's exactly right. Since I've been elected to the board, I think it's appropriate that I resign my position on the Fire Commission, so you have a communication indicating such.
Okay, well, thank you for your service on the Fire Commission. So that is an open position for a citizens member as well. And lastly, this will be a appointment of a board member to serve on the Municipal Joint Court Committee with the Village of Big Bend, but that's not a citizen, that'll be a board member appointment. Anybody else have anything for communications with village residents? If not, we'll move on then to citizen comments. Anybody who would like to address the board, you're welcome to come forward. Remember the get close to the microphone rule, right? Name and address, and please proceed.
My name is Betty Paget. I live at South 57 West 22641 Woodside Court, Village of Waukesha. And I wish to address number 13. And I wish to address it because I think that our clerk deserves all of your kudos, all of your thanks and appreciation for all that she has done for this village, now the village, for the town before. And just to remind you of a few things that are major things that have happened during her time here, so that when you go in to discuss her promotion, you know what's going on and what's happening in the town and what she is responsible for. She has brought accounting into in-house, which has saved the town hundreds of dollars per year. Also, the accounting auditing firm loves the new accounting process that she brought in. We've been using it for about, I think, 3 years. Our audits are wonderful. They are quick, they are accurate. I am part of elections. She brought in Badger books. Badger books are wonderful. Badger books make us more accurate. They make it easier for the voters to vote. They make it quicker for the voters to vote. And they make it easier to get tallies at the end of the night. They make it easier to check because you don't have to go through poll books page by page. And they save the taxpayers money because we don't have to have nearly as many poll workers. The accounting that was brought in was changed a couple years ago to a better accounting system. It was changed to a fund system, so each department knows what funds they have, they know what funds that they can use and how they use them. And this was hers. She worked on the website that you have that informs the voters of these meetings. She has worked on the, well, it's part of our website. It's not the one, it's the one, she did the one where this is televised. YouTube. She did, thank you. She did the YouTube so that you don't have to come to the meeting to know what's going on at the meetings. And in this day and age, that is a very good thing. Let's see. Well, she had worked very diligently for the last couple of years on the codification of the town, on all of our codes. along with the board, I must admit. The board worked very hard on that too. We have a time clock. She puts in more than 80 hours every 2 weeks. We have a time clock that if you want to check, she has a time card just like everybody else that says how hard she works and how long she works. And sometimes she might be gone on a Friday, but that doesn't mean that she hasn't put in more than 80 hours. She has opened up to the public on nights when there are meetings. She stays so that the public can come in. During voting, she makes appointments for people before and after hours so people can come in and vote if they can't make it during regular hours for absentee voting. She had the new drop box put in for the convenience of the town, so that if on a Saturday you want to drop something off, you can put it in the drop box. It's locked, it's just outside the door. She has put into the letter that goes out with your taxes, your burning permit, which we are all entitled to one, and your yard waste permit, so that the townspeople don't have to make a trip to the office to get it, which is a convenience for all of us town people. She budgeted and purchased a large paper shredder. And in case you didn't realize it, every 10, 5, 7 years, we have to go through the files that are in the basement and shred old files to make room for new files. She also, wonderful, thank you, Kathy, put in new lights down there, new bulbs, so now I can see without a flashlight. I do appreciate that. But most importantly, she has worked diligently from beginning to end to give this town incorporation, along with this board and Mr. Macy. I know all of you have worked very hard, but she has been on this from the very beginning to the very last vote that was counted. She scheduled meetings. She made sure every detail was covered. And I mean every detail, because you know the town of Waukesha is just looking, the city of Waukesha is just looking for a detail. And she has managed to, as they, I quote, step by step, done this. And that's the law. You have to do it step by step. And she's scheduled meetings. She scheduled the election. So in case we weren't able to have the election, we would have time to get out mail-in votes to every person who was registered to vote. Fortunately, we didn't have to do that. We were able to hold the election. And I think because of her efforts and the 2,268 people who supported her efforts in this, we are now a village. So I am happy that you are looking at a promotion for her. I am really happy about that. And I thank you for your time. Now, I would like you to read, this is one was in the newspaper on May 13th. It's by one of our town poll workers. It says, Town of Waukesha Clerk, it has been my pleasure to work for and with Kathy Nicholas for the elections for the past several years. During the last 2 elections, Kathy performed duties above and beyond what I felt was humanly possible. I felt safer at the town hall with all the safety measures in place than I did anywhere else. Also, her hard work to get all the ducks in a row so we were able to vote on the referendum was amazing. My thanks to her for everything she does to make the town of Waukesha Village a great place to live. And Kathy, I think you do make this a great place to live, because people, when they come in, they're always happy to see us in the office. Some people just drop in just to say hello, because they just want to see us, and they want to see Kathy. So I'm happy that you are considering a promotion. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Ed Padgett, South 57 West 22641, Woodside Court. Well, Betty covered most of it. I'd like to say we've lived in the town for 48 years, and Kathy's been the best town clerk we had. There's one other that's good, and she is supporting Kathy, so I'm very happy to hear that. The only downside I have is our oldest son now refers to us as the village people, so. Anyway, you've also got one of the best and smoothest elections apparently around, from what I understand, because they hardly ever have something that's out of line, and if they do, they know where it is. And I know somebody that keeps getting up to go in the next morning because I know where that is. I've got to get that in there. So, and so I wish that you guys would think very, very strongly about Kathy. She's really an excellent individual. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else would like to speak?
Good evening, everyone. Glad to see everybody's up here in healthy conditions. Mike Borchert, West 231, South 5205, Hunters Hollow. I was glad to see that the backhoe was on the agenda for this evening, but then again, I'm surprised that it hasn't, why it's on there again. There are 4 members on the board right now. We're here in November when the budget was approved. And the backhoe was approved on that budget for 2020. Now I realize we haven't had meetings for a couple months, but a couple months ago, discussion on the backhoe was put on, was tabled. For whatever reason, I don't understand. The backhoe for the DPW department is, in my opinion, the most important piece of equipment there is. It installs new culverts, replaces old culverts in a road, does road repair, tree work, and loads our salt trucks in the winter. Probably the most important function. Because if those salt trucks don't get loaded, those plow trucks aren't moving because they don't have front wheel drive. And I can tell you this last winter, anybody that get into that machine to load salt in the truck had to close their eyes and cross themselves, hoping that something wouldn't blow up. And then we'd have a big mess, streets wouldn't get plowed, a lot of unhappy people. So tonight, I would hope that discussion is brought up and removed from the table and a decision made to move ahead with the purchase and get this order signed now. There's so many times different issues get approved on a budget and then nothing ever happens. That doesn't make any sense. And I would be, I don't know what the price is. I haven't been involved with that. I do know that the pricing that did come in was well under the projected numbers. Unbelievable. Great trade-in price. I don't know if they're going to raise the price right now. I would be surprised if they didn't. But if for some reason the dealer holds the price from January, you better jump on it, because that is a huge gift right there. They have no obligation to do that if they would. So please help the DPW department, help the town residents, and get some new equipment in here so we don't have problems. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else would like to come forward? See, we've got 2 distinguished young men in the back of the room in uniform. We don't have you formally on the agenda for tonight. Do you want to just introduce or say hello, or just sitting in?
Just sitting in. I'm Captain Aaron Bogey, and this is Lieutenant Anthony Schechter.
Appreciate your joining us tonight. Are there any other citizens' comments? If not, I would acknowledge we have two written communications, both dated the 28th of May. One is from Terry Sales, former town deputy clerk treasurer, and the other is from Mary Elsner, our new and recently hired village deputy clerk treasurer. Those both relate to that same item 13, closed session on the agenda, on the advice of council, because we don't have a written policy. I'm not going to read them in during public comments, but they will be presented during the closed session at item 13. Okay, we will move on then to item 7, which are minutes. You have 3 sets of minutes. The minutes of the meeting of the town board of February 27th. Am I correct? All members were present at that meeting, apparently so. This would, of course, to Tom, would be appropriate for you to abstain when we get to that, but is there a motion to approve those minutes? Are there any additions or corrections?
I will move to approve the minutes from the February 27th meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion? Okay, the motion by, and I'm going to mess up on this, but trustee Stigler, second by trustee German, to approve the minutes of town board meeting of February 27th, 2020. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed and abstentions, please. Okay. Next, we've got item 7B, the minutes of March 23rd, 2020 town board meeting. And before we take action on that, I think, Kathy, you've got one correction on that on page 2 of 3. Is that correct?
I do. On the minutes, the second motion in the minutes, the motion carried 5-0.
That's for the approval of the minutes of the meeting of January 23rd.
That's correct.
So with that correction, is there a motion to be made to approve the minutes of the meeting of March 23rd?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of March 23rd.
And is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by trustee German, second by trustee Stigler to approve the minutes of the town board meeting of March 23rd, 2020 with the correction that Kathy indicated. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed and abstentions?
Abstain.
So that's approved 4-0 to 1. And then finally, the village board minutes of the meeting of May 14th, 2020. That was but 2 weeks ago.
I have a correction on that as
Okay.
well. The last page of the minutes, vote was taken on resolution 2020-01. Trustee Durr's name was spelled incorrectly, so I'll correct that.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? Again, all 5 of us, I believe, were present at that meeting, so all can participate and vote. You ready to approve those minutes? All right, I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of meeting May 14th. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Motion by President Fisher, second by trustee Kalinsky to approve the minutes of the meeting of Village Board of May 14th, 2020. Any further discussion? If not, with the simple correction Kathy made, all in favor of approving those minutes, and keep saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed and abstentions, so that passes 5-0. 8, discussion and possible action items. Unless there's any objection from any of the trustees, I would like to move up items 8V and 8W, which were put on the amended agenda because we have representatives of those folks in the audience. Is there any objection to doing that? And that would be Pastor Khan, I believe, is here, and I think Mr. Beatty has come to grace us with his presence again. Is that right? That is true. Okay, does anybody object? Then we can move them along. If there's no objection, then we'll go to item 8V. Would you come up, Pastor Khan? And we've got some paperwork, and before you just even jump into that, the reason, and I think all of you know I am reticent to amend agendas for meetings for reasons we don't need to go into unnecessarily, but Pastor Khan can explain what's at hand here, and this is something that came along, I think, Tuesday of this week, and I made the decision to put it on the agenda to make an exception after some light scolding, but see if we get through with this. Do you want to explain why you're here tonight, please, and welcome?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate that very much. My name's Guy, Pastor Khan, Fox River Christian Church. We became aware this Tuesday that the plans that we had in conjunction with the outdoor services that we were doing to do a celebration. We have children's family service in the evening, and then we were going to do a small fireworks display. Once we realized that we needed a permit for that display and the process of getting it, I reached out and asked if it would be possible for us to be able to receive such permit to go ahead with that plan and the celebration that we're hoping to be able to take place that evening.
Okay, and you've got some paperwork with that. You came in, or is it Pastor Roberts who came in, or is he one of your congregants?
Yeah, Pastor Mark
Talked to him on the phone, didn't know that was Pastor Roberts. Welcome. So came in, filled out the paperwork, I think, and I don't know whether, Chief Buchholz, whether you have anything to speak to this or not. I think you had part of the discussion as well. I mean, one of the absolute requirements is a presentation of a certificate of liability insurance naming the Village of Waukesha as an additional insured, and you did get that promptly. We've got a copy of that in the packet.
Yes, sir.
And I just want to go another way. I mean, we actually have, you're looking at two different events. One is the 31st, which is this coming Sunday.
Correct.
At dusk or thereabouts, and then you're looking to do another event on July 5th.
Yes, upon realization that most of the local fireworks displays are being canceled, we thought we could add just value to our community in that 4th of July celebration by doing a display that evening.
Okay. Dan, do you want or need to weigh in on this at all or not?
I went and reviewed the site, it was all fine, and I signed off on it, he meets all the safety requirements.
All right, so he's in a comfort zone. Then I guess we'll turn it over to discussion here, possible action to the village board on item 8V, and whether you want to take these as separate agenda items or combined. I don't know that makes any difference, does it, Attorney Macy, whether they're together or separate?
It does not, but I have to point out a technicality, it's right in your packet.
Okay, please do.
The application on page 44 of your packets, well, it's right toward the end, because there's 46 pages in
Yeah.
the packet, so, third to the last page, and I'll direct yourself to the middle paragraph, the lengthy one, that's a quote right out of your ordinance, and it says, "The certificate of insurance will provide for the payment of all claims that may arise." You can read it. The problem is your certificate doesn't have the magic language in it. And so we don't have the policy, and we don't normally need the policy to be able to verify that, but this is right out of the ordinance, and that language needs to be included on the certificate.
So,
So it's right on the application, it's right out of the ordinance, I just compared that. We were given the document just yesterday or the day before, and so I'm just pointing out the obvious, and so
could we act on this conditionally or provisionally tonight with the requirement that that language get added to the certificate? Would that be prudent?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we understand that concern.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You got a quick turnaround from your insurance carrier, the representative, the last time, so if we were to do this, you could get after it tomorrow and get it done.
Yes, we could.
Okay, further discussion? You prepared to act? If you are, a motion would be in order at this time. All right, I'll make the motion then to approve the Town of Waukesha fireworks applications, plural, for Fox River Church for May 30th, 2020 and July 5th, 2020, with the condition that the applicant file a revised certificate of liability insurance with the town, incorporating the exact and specific necessary language that's included on that application form, and that would be a condition of the approval so you can move forward. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
I was gonna say, I can't make the motion and second it too. You guys gotta help me out here, so
We're
let's
just
go.
testing you. That's-
All right, okay, that wouldn't be legal. All right. Further discussion, we got a motion, which I made, second by supervisor, trustee, there I did it, trustee Stigler, to approve the fireworks applications for May 30th and July 5th, 2020, Fox River Christian Church with the condition appended to it. Any further question or discussion? If not, we'll proceed by voice vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstentions, so that passes 5-0. Thank you, good luck to you.
Thank you, sir. Clarification, who do we provide that to? So I'll bring paper in and give it to who?
The clerk staff, the office.
Office?
Between 8 and 4 tomorrow. Okay,
Yes, we will. Thank you.
thank
again,
you very
everybody.
much.
Appreciate it.
Good luck to you. All right, Mr. Beatty, you're in the barrel. Come on up. Are you going to get scolded too because you weren't on the agenda or not?
Nope.
You're not. You have some special circumstances. We got a bunch of your paper work in here. Why don't you tell us why you're here tonight, please?
I'd like to be able to serve beer on the weekends, same as last year.
Okay, and for a bit of clarification, we got a little bit snagged up in the COVID-19 or coronavirus or that type of thing. You actually, or somebody on behalf of Five Diamonds actually made these applications, or at least there's date on them for March 25th, 2020. Is that correct?
That's
So it's right that we have you on the agenda. Or is there any difference in any of these applications other than there's separate ones for separate weekend events? Is there anything else different about them?
I would say the only thing is, I think we added one July 4th weekend that I didn't put on, that was a tournament, like 2 weeks ago. But I can come in and fill out a separate piece for that too.
We can put that on the next agenda.
Yeah, tournaments got pushed back and moved all over.
All right, so now we've got May 29 to 31, June 5 to 7, June 12 to 14, June 19 to 21, June 26 to 28, July 10 to 12, July 17 to 19, August 7 to 9, August 14 to 16. And it probably would be best if you were to pay us one more visit at a future meeting if you're contemplating that one for 4th of July weekend.
Okay.
Okay, questions? Comments?
So these are just for on the weekends?
Yep,
Is there baseball there other than the weekends?
yep,
And we're certain no beer will be sold in those time periods?
no,
Why do we restrict it to the weekends? Why not just do it?
because you don't have a license for me to get. Or I would get the license so I could do it that way.
These are just temporary licenses, and so they can't be continuous from week to week to week. The only other possibility is if he paid the $10,000 fee for our reserve license.
But Kathy, these are beer licenses, right?
Right, but they can only have so many beer licenses, and they can't go back to back.
Wait,
Yeah.
I'm going back to getting a license. There's no state quota on beer licenses. There's only state quotas on liquor licenses. I mean, the other concern I have, and I don't know when your first event is what, Five Diamonds is a bona fide club?
Mhm.
Five Diamonds isn't a business?
It's both. We have a league, our own league we have too.
Well, that'll need to be clarified, because you can only give them to certain entities. You can't give them to businesses. Businesses can't get this kind of license. So if it's a club, that's fine. I just had to ask that
Yeah.
question, so.
I think we went through that last year.
Okay, and I
That they were a
apologize.
club last year.
Okay, I would have asked the same questions, at least I'm consistent.
Yeah.
But, that's fine.
So there's nothing scheduled for the fourth weekend?
There is.
July 4th?
There is.
Oh, there is, it's
But
just
I-
not on here, that's,
I turned the paperwork in
okay.
before all the 19 started and stuff got moved around. I would
Yeah.
love it if you guys could, find something for me that I could serve instead of going every weekend like this and just have it during the week and come in and pay the one, whether it be the $500 or what it be, it would be easier for everybody.
I went
But-
round and round with DOR on this, trying to get him a license, so.
Talk into your microphone.
I did contact the Department of Revenue when we were trying to find something, and we did not find anything that he was able to do.
Okay.
I just ask that we make really sure that the beer is only served when during the permit time.
Yes.
All right, I'll make the motion to approve the beer permits for Five Diamonds on June 5th to the 7th, 12th to the 14th, 19th to the 21st, 26th to the 28th, July 10 to 12, July 17 to 19, August 7 to 9, and August 14 to 16.
I believe he's, Mike, also looking for this weekend, the 29th to the 31st?
I'm sorry, yes, on May 29th.
So that's included in your motion too?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion was made by trustee Durr, second by trustee Stigler to approve the application for the temporary Class B retailer's license for Five Diamonds for the dates that have been mentioned. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0, and then you gotta come back once more for the 4th of July, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes?
Pastor Khan again. It was graciously pointed out to me, the dates are correct on here of May 31st and July 5th, but I believe they were orally stated as May 30th rather than the 31st, so we just want to make sure.
Was that my mistake? Shamefully? Okay, 31st.
I don't even remember.
Was
who
in the
made
motion.
Sunday night, okay, Sunday night, the 31st.
Yep, everything's correct on here, though.
Okay, so noted. Thank
Thank you.
you very much. Okay, then we'll double back to item 8A and kind of resume the regular order of our agenda. Item 8A is discussion and possible action on the purchase of a John Deere 310 SL backhoe loader. Before we can continue with this discussion, this was tabled at a previous meeting, so we would need a motion to remove this from the table before we could proceed with discussion. Is there such a motion?
I'll make the motion to remove it from the table.
I'll second.
Okay, motion was made and seconded to remove this from the table. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Right, that passes unanimously. Then to the substance of this, I know Jerry is here. Jerry and Mike spoke a bit. Let me just kind of hit the high part of it, and we can see if folks have questions for you or what or not. You've got in your packet a customer purchase order in the amount of $67,935 net. This is from Brooks Tractor Incorporated. The document we're looking at is dated March 9th, 2020. I believe that this was actually quoted maybe even 5 or 6 months prior thereto. Last fall, I will tell you that I reached out to the sales representative, this Mr. Druckery, last week and told him this was going to be back on the agenda and asked him if they would still continue to honor that proposal for the $67,935. He told me no. that had passed us by because we had not acted on it for months and months and months. I told him he needed to come back then with a new price. He came back 4 hours later or so and indicated they would indeed honor this price if, and I believe he said if we acted before January 1st, I think he meant June 1st. So at least my representation to you is they are willing to honor this price if we were to act on it tonight, and if we were, they will redo the purchase order tomorrow, so it would be the name of the village and so forth, but it would be for the 67,935. So that's the backdrop to that part of the information. This is in our capital 2024 capital plan and capital budget, I believe, Kathy, and that was earmarked for $70,000, so the 67,935 tucks in underneath that. So, questions, comments? You're welcome if you want to come up and say something or not, or answer questions.
I'd like to make a motion to purchase a John Deere 310 SL backhoe loader.
Okay, and that's for the 67,935 from Brooks Tractor Incorporated?
Correct.
Okay. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion.
I have a few comments to address Mr. Borcher's concern. I believe this came in with relatively short notice for the meeting that it was tabled at. And I participated either in making that motion or supporting it. I don't recall specifically which. But as noted, months have gone by, and here we sit with only one proposal, this time accompanied with a letter from the attorney indicating that it is legal to not solicit bids. But I would like to review his letter starting at the top of the back page, or the top of page 2. If any member of the board has direct or indirect private, is it
Pecuniary.
pecuniary, thank you, interest in the contract, we will need to consider that matter further. Therefore, I note that state laws may be more restrictive than the town code in the event of such a conflict. Moreover, if that would apply. Absent such a conflict of interest, and this is the key to me, the town board is free to choose the method of acquisition that it believes best serves the town and its taxpayers and residents. Some communities in these instances prefer to have more than one quotation for the equipment, but that is a matter of policy or past practice and not required by law. In some instances, more than one quotation is not possible. My guidance to my clients is that they should be satisfied that their constituents would feel that the town board has done its due diligence and obtained the best price for the equipment. So I don't understand why this sat for so long and we're sitting here with only one proposal. And I'd be interested if somebody could explain to me how sitting here with only one proposal that comes in very near to the price that was budgeted serves the best interests of the taxpayers, and that we should be satisfied that our constituents feel that the town board, now the village board, has done its due diligence.
I guess I would just offer one comment. I believe that very same letter was in the packet of information on the 23rd of March when you moved to table the matter out of a professional courtesy. I supported tabling the matter at that point in time. You gave no explanation to it. If that was a concern, I guess it would have been nice if you would have expressed it at that point in time, and that was over 2 months ago.
Well, that may be so, but if I'm not mistaken, this was handed to us on the night of the meeting.
I understand, but it's a pretty straightforward letter.
Well, it was handed to me the night of the meeting.
So is that the reason you moved to table?
That's the reason that I would not support this right now, is I don't think that we've done our due diligence, and I don't believe that we're acting in best interest of our constituents by taking in a proposal that we could have entertained other, maybe it's a good deal,
Okay.
maybe it's not.
Okay, well, I appreciate your point of view. I guess I just wish you would have said that on the 23rd of March.
You know, if I would have gotten it in the packet of information, I probably would have.
Okay. Other comments, discussion?
If you want some due diligence, I guess I did do a little research and found a tractor, the similar model, 5 years older, with 2,500 hours on the hour meter for 45,000. That's a used price. So I think this is pretty fair considering it's a brand new one.
I guess you would have more experience about some of this than I would.
Well, like I said, I think this is a pretty decent price for a brand new tractor in my experience.
Okay, further discussion?
Construction equipment like
I'm
this
sorry.
depreciates fairly fast, but I mean, 2,500 hours on a used tractor is not wore out by any stretch of the imagination, but it's still, you're starting with 0 on this one. This one will last, like the last one I think is a 98, is that right? Jerry, is a 98?
Shaking his head. Why don't you come forward if you're going to chat, please? Get right up to the microphone.
That was purchased in 1998, and the town paid, and I was working for the town at the time, paid $75,000 for that tractor.
So, with all due respect, talking about the tractor that was purchased in 1988, or comparing it to a tractor.
98.
98, excuse me, or comparing it to a tractor that has 25,000 miles on the clicker, or excuse me, 25,000 hours on the clicker, that is not due diligence. Did you solicit this proposal?
I did. I talked to Brooks Tractor. Brooks, we bought other equipment from them. They've been a good dealership, a good vendor. When we purchased that particular machine in 1998, Cat, Ford New Holland, JCB.
I don't want to talk about a
No, but I'm just telling you, and it has serviced the town very well. It has paid for itself time and time again. I'm sure somebody could come in with a JCB and undermine them. Is that to benefit the town?
Well,
to get it for cheap?
That would be
cheaper?
an argument that we would make when we're looking at two
Well,
other proposals.
This has been going on since October.
Jerry, with all due respect, and I don't need to get into a back and forth, but the fact that this was put on the table in, when? When did we put this on the table?
March 23rd.
March 23rd. I don't see how we could have not gotten other proposals. If another proposal would have come in for $1,000 cheaper, and we make the argument that, you know, they've been good service to the town, that's a perfectly, but if another bid comes in 5 or 6 or 8 or 10,000, those are decisions we have to make. And listen, I for one am not gonna vote to spend $68,000 when I'm only looking at one proposal. I don't think that represents the constituents very well. That's just my position.
Okay. Further discussion?
Did they indicate how long this price would be good for, or did they just indicate that they would honor it now?
Well, I told you, he basically, when he came back, said January 1st. I'm certain he misspoke and meant June 1st. He was unwilling to honor this price during the first phone call. He came back 4 hours later, said they would honor it. I can't tell you any more than that.
Okay.
And the machine that you currently have now is in need of about at least $12,000 worth of repair. That's without tires. It's got a valve body that's going. I mean, this thing is, it's time to get rid of it. That's why we worked on this since October. It needs to go. It's like Mike said, it's the heart and soul of us. I mean, if we don't have it, you know.
Okay, further discussion, questions? If not, are you prepared to vote? Maybe you've got, I'm running on recollection, was the motion by supervisor. Go get trustee German and second by trustee Stigler, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Any other further discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
So I have that as 4 in favor and trustee Dur opposed. Is that correct? Okay, thank you. All right, we will move on then. Item 8B, update on road maintenance, slag, crack filling, and patching bids. I hope to, and I'm taking a pass at that, hope that we can have that out on the street next week, and we'll see how quickly we can get bids back on that. So that's an update on that. 8C, a discussion on drainage issues, et cetera. I asked Kathy to put that on the agenda, and I'm just going to open this up. This is, you might notice, just for discussion, not taking any action on it. I think she even put something back in here. We had our culvert inventory, cross culvert inventory and maintenance list from a couple of years ago, not for driveway culverts, town road culverts. I don't have a list in front of me, but I'm going to tell you, I think there are probably somewhere between 12 and 15 issues, and I'm going to call them that at the minute, that I'm aware of, that are primarily drainage issues in the town, in ditches, drainage easements, that type of thing. And some of these particularly come to light with the heavy rainfall we had in the past couple of weeks and so forth. We have some decisions to make, some educating, some decisions to make, some ordinances to interpret, policy consideration, take a look at. I'm going to just toss a suggestion out. And some of these people have been before the town board in the past, and we basically have not gotten anything resolved. Just for discussion, I think it would be useful even for all of the members of the board to literally see some of these things in the flesh, if you will. I've got, and I haven't even discussed this, Attorney Macy might have advice, but we could either put out the list and have people go individually and look at these things if they'd really spend the time and effort to do it, or would it even be possible, if it was the will of the board to do it, that we were to pick evening or afternoon or something like that and actually agendize it as a meeting and go as a group? Would you advise against that? I mean, I'm catching you off guard, but tell me what you think would be the appropriate way to proceed, or what we ought not do.
Well, many communities do road tours, but the entire board, but they make it available for the public to go along.
Of course.
I had one board that actually rented a bus one year, and we actually wanted to go through the roads and all of the outstanding CUs, because there was just so many alleged violations, and they wanted everybody. So the only problem with doing it in cars, which you can, is you have to not talk while you're driving and only talk when you gather and are together. So,
Yeah.
But it's not illegal to do if properly noticed and properly done.
Thoughts about it? I'm just opening this up for discussion. I mean, and this is going to take some time. I think these people would probably be properly advised that we were coming if we were going to do a tour. If not, I mean, we got to have people bring photographs in and do that type of thing. I mean, I was just eyeballing even possibly a meeting on the 21st or something, perhaps a Thursday or some other kind of thing. I personally would prefer not to take weekend time to do it, but that's my pleasure. I'm tossing it out for discussion. Do you think there'd be any value in doing that, or do you simply want to pick a date where we're going to discuss it and let people go individually, go take a look? I mean, we could do that too. I'm looking for suggestions, but I think we got to start to get our arms around this.
Well, my personal feeling is that if we're gonna do this, I mean, if we all go individually, we're gonna come back with 5 different opinions as to which ones are right and which ones are wrong. I think if we went there all together and kinda come to a consensus on each one, it would be better, but that's my take on it, so.
Are you driving the bus?
Sure. We'll get there fast.
If we could pick a date that this would work, I mean, we got long evening hours, it's gonna take some time. I mean, we might not get to all of them. I mean, we'd pick off 8 of them or something. I mean, 10 minutes apiece and 5 minutes in between, or 15 minutes apiece, 5 minutes in between. I mean, we're looking at 2.5, 3 hours, something like that. Maybe we come back here and talk after that. people, can they arrange schedules at all to start 4:30, 5 o'clock, or is that out of the question? I'm looking for suggestions.
So these are written complaints that we have regarding culverts and drainage easements?
No, a lot of them are, some of them are emails, some of them are phone calls, some of them are verbal. They come from a variety of different directions and sources.
Go ahead.
I guess the first thing that I would ask for is that if somebody has an issue that they want addressed, that we at least get a complaint in writing about what the problem is and what they're looking for the village to do.
Okay, well, we can put the list together, or if they're email communications, sure, I mean, we can put that together. I mean, some people send photographs. I think Kathy gets some of them she passes along to me. They come for a variety of things. I mean, you know what some of these are, because they're people that have been here before that we basically did not address or resolve their problems. So a lot of them are repeat business, if you will. But we can put that list together. Certainly, I mean, that can and needs to be done. The place I'm kind of starting with is, do you think it's appropriate or necessary for people to go and see some of these situations rather than just having people make verbal representations and that type of thing? I'm suggesting I think that'd be beneficial, but if the rest of you think not, that's okay.
I guess from my point of view is I'd like to see what the list is in writing, what the issue is, and then I'm not against us going as a group, but I'd like to see the list first.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Would you be willing to pick tentatively or commit a date to address this, assuming that we get the list of some of these out next week or prioritize them? Can we try to pick a date, either at a meeting here or a visit or something, so we can move on? You okay?
Your prerogative is the president to set the date.
No, it's not. I'm asking for buy-in from 5 people. Obviously, I've got some anxiety. I'd like to be able to move forward with this so we can get something accomplished, but that's a decision of 5, not a decision of mine.
I'm all for that. This has been going on for a long time, this cross culvert thing. And
I mean, you'll recognize the name on the list because there are people been here 2 or 3 times. It's not just cross culverts. It's other people. I mean, I'll just give you a case in point. I got one, and I think this came to Kathy, was it Tuesday or Wednesday, but they started work on Beheim Road. Some people, I don't know, they are Beheim Road. Yeah. They're upset and concerned because the contractor went out and cut off the apron, new kind of concrete apron by their driveway type of thing. She passed them along to me, and I touched base with them. They were concerned about that, went out to take a look at that to try to advise them what's coming along. I even chatted briefly with Chris Janelli, told them how the asphalt was going to connect into it while out there looking, and they're basically saying, hey, our ditch here, when it rains, the water doesn't even go through our driveway culvert. It goes over the top of it and washes down the road. So, I mean, that came about Tuesday of this week. But I think we owe some of these people at least the courtesy of acknowledging or addressing their concerns.
I'm fine with meeting next week, and we should prioritize the ones that have been in and the issues that have come about to the board we should deal with first.
Let's do it real quick. First of all, yes or no on whether people want to literally go and see some of these things? Yes or no? Quick poll around. Is that a value or no? Physically to see it, yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Individually or as a group?
As a group.
As a group is fine. All I ask is that we have the complaints in writing.
I understand that. I'm just trying to nail it down. So we're saying go see them as a group, and we'll get them in writing. Looking forward in the next couple of weeks. I mean, I don't think we can do this on a night when we have an otherwise regular meeting. I mean, this can take some time. Any days of the week that do or don't work for people or not, or do we want to have Kathy try to sort that out? I mean, I don't want to waste all kinds of time with it. Should you ever send a thing out and just people advise your availability? Could they start as early as 5 or 5:30, or is that going to conflict with work or other things?
Is this on a Thursday you're thinking, a different
Not
Thursday?
necessarily.
Oh.
It's just date that everybody could be available.
At that time, I could be.
Huh?
Are we going to be accompanied by somebody that knows what we're looking at? I mean, with somebody from,
We could ask Chris Janelli to join us if we wanted to, so maybe about his availability. And Jerry, yeah? Jerry wants to come, I'm sure.
Trailer behind the new tractor with a little hay on it? Right? Cooler?
All right, can we, I don't want to waste all time of the night. I understand your request. We need to kind of put together a list. We may even have to prioritize some of these. The list is longer than we're going to get through in one evening. We could decide, do we just go look at it? Are we going to come back here, chat about them or whatever? We'll put something out and just let's find out people's availability. Can we kind of close it up on that today? We got other stuff to go.
Yep.
That fine? Okay. That kind of covered D is part and parcel to it. I don't think there's any further discussion on that. Item 8E, discussion possible action on the purchase of a new fire inspection / grass truck. Chief, you want to come up?
I put in your packet the proposal or summary of the state bid process. All these costs came from the state bid process, other than the lighting and the lettering. Those are locally done. We're looking at a 2020 Ford 350 with a EG Metals produced tank pump skid unit with hose reel and nozzle for $80,827.71. Lighting and electronics, emergency lighting and electronics would do the emergency lighting, the radio hookups, MDCs, the winch, the grill, grill bar lights, trailer connections and such, all the electronic stuff at $39,864.57. And Stretch would do the lettering. I know already that the estimate that he put in there is going to be high. He told me that he didn't have time to produce an exact number for us. So the 4,500, he said it's probably going to be a little bit high, but he said it would be a reasonable number for an estimate. For a total for the whole truck of $125,192.26. We budgeted in the capital budget $150,000 for it.
Is this truck, Dan, the one you were talking earlier about, that you can use also at car accidents and things? It's not just for grass fires, is that true?
We potentially can, yes.
How big is the tank on this thing?
150 gallons.
This is also your inspector's vehicle as well, correct?
He used it sometimes, yeah. But it's a grass fire truck, that's what its main purpose is.
So the plan is to get rid of the other one then?
Yes.
Questions, discussion?
what are we using now? What do we have now?
We have a 1990,
Did you say 1990?
96, I think it is. It's a 96 GMC, 3/4 ton.
And what kind of condition is that one in currently?
Fatigued. It is fatigued. The springs are no longer springs. They're going the wrong direction. It's wore. The pump system on it is pretty well used. It needs to be rebuilt. it's fatigued.
So how many grass fires a year do we use this thing for, roughly? You got an idea?
We've been on 5 so far this year.
I'm sorry, say it again?
We've been on 5 so far this
5.
year.
Season's still coming yet, huh?
The way our year's been going, it's been crazy.
Okay, further discussion, questions of Chief Buchholz? Somebody want to make a motion?
I will make that motion. It's in light of that it's already a budgeted item and planned on it. Just like I said, that truck is 96, it's old.
Okay, is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Okay, further discussion. Okay, motion by Supervisor Stigler.
Just have one comment,
or
Mr.
Trustee,
President.
sure.
For the same issues on the other truck, the DPW truck, or excuse me, backhoe, I feel like we're moving in the wrong direction. Now we don't even have a quote from, other than just on the fire department letterhead. I just
You
think
do
we're-
have a quote. It's all right here in the packet. But it's, I mean, I quoted you the numbers that are on the quote, so.
Okay, so we
And
have
it's
a
off the
quote
state
that's,
bid, so it has been bid. It was off the state bid. The state bids all these things.
this is what I have in my packet.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. That's all.
Do you've got the, let's see, you've got the other copies of it, do you?
Oh, yeah, I have all the documents here.
Then you want to have, we
If you
could
want
move.
copies of them produced, they can be produced real easily.
Yeah, well, maybe we should do that. Should we just move on, come back to this, and you've got the copies here? Can you run copies of that for, everybody? Not, how many pages is it?
About 50.
Okay, you want to see it?
I wouldn't be able to process through it tonight, but. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and read a 50-page document that I've never seen before and vote to spend
Okay.
$125,000.
Okay.
I mean, there's a motion and a second, call the question. Go from there.
Okay, question is called. If there's no further discussion, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Opposed?
A motion passes 4-1 with supervisor, or trustee, let's do it again, trustee, they're voting no. Okay, we will go on then to items G and, I'm sorry, item F, thank you. Discussion and possible action, direct the clerk to place the fire chief pickup that was replaced on the auction site once the fire chief releases it for sale. This is not the grass fire inspection truck. This is the truck that the chief uses, right? Does everybody understand what that item is about?
Are we talking about the Wisconsin surplus site?
That's correct. So, we weren't sure when the chief can release that, but I did want to get approval to, once he does release it, and he has his current new one up and running, that I can get it on the site as soon as possible.
I will, so we move this along, I will make a motion to direct the clerk to place the fire chief pickup that is going to be replaced with a new vehicle on the auction site once the fire chief releases it for sale, and I so move. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion. If there's no discussion, then we'll proceed to vote. I made the motion. Trustee German seconded it. Everybody understand the motion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 5-0. Items G and H are kind of tethered together. We can talk about them, but it's about facilities capital plan and so forth. Mike, you had something you handed out, or at least gave me a copy of it or something. Did you want to talk to item G?
Only because it was on the agenda, I just recopied and distributed to everybody what I had presented on 12/12 of 19. Of course, this is the first time trustee Kolinsky is seeing it.
Sure.
This was a result of the decision of the electorate to not purchase the properties and move in that direction on 164, and my thoughts about the direction that we should go and some approximate dollar amounts.
Okay, and Kathy, maybe you want to jump in. We've got something that is similar to that, maybe it might be identical without the hand markups, but we've got something in the packet. You want to explain that about the non-encumbered budgetary items there? Has everybody got that? It's a landscape formatted sheet, looks just like this one. It's entitled 2020-2024 Capital Project Plan. Does everybody have that in your packet? You got that one, Tom, or no?
I do, yeah.
Okay, so, as trustee Durst mentioned, the, once the electorate turned down the purchase of the property, the, capital plan was, changed to, include some non-encumbered budget money for the, for the fire department, of $213,900. And also a non-encumbered amount of $173,900 in the Public Works Department that was not budgeted for as well. So they were non-encumbered budget money that was moved after the property was decided to not be purchased. So that's how we addressed it in the project plan. That's what this capital project plan is. It's really not the budget, but it's a project plan on how we're going to use the budget money, the capital budget money. And so we do have this all budgeted, all of the amount, the $927,800 we have budgeted. But we do not, but we have these two items that are non-encumbered because after or during our budget meeting, the electorate made the decision not to purchase the property. So the property then, the money was distributed between the public safety or fire department and the public works for future projects for 2020 was. So it's up to the board to make the decision on how they want to address that unencumbered budget money, if they're going to use it all in 2020 or if they're going to spread it amongst the 5-year capital plan.
Okay, so what I would suggest, and we can double back to their questions, but we're going to go to item 8H, and we can double back to G if we want to, but we put, Kathy and I put item H on here, which is discussion and possible action on village facilities options, as those were clearly town options at that time, but village facilities options as discussed at the 123-20 town board meeting. And if you note, even in the minutes of that we just approved on page 3 of 4, the minutes, it was an item something F, whatever number it was, but it was item sub F was discussion on potential use of existing fire station for Public Works. Public Works staff, Jerry Noley and Paul Sales, reviewed how their trucks would fit into the existing fire station, no action taken. You remember that's the meeting where we invited citizen participation and looking at different facilities options on this property and looked at that as option or alternative way to proceed forward. So this is on here to kind of pick things up from there. We've got to come up with direction. I have one suggestion, and I have briefly discussed this with Chief Buchholz, and that's if the village board is of a mind to look at constructing a new fire station on the property and using the existing fire station for public works, and carrying forward with what we looked at on the 23rd of January, then the first step on that, I think, would be to have Chief Buchholz prepare and present a scope of the work or a program statement for new fire station. If we want to look in that direction, and it would be, in words, would be a descriptor of number of bays and sleeping quarters and things of that nature, program statement. So looking for direction. This kind of got left set aside a little bit while we were concentrating efforts on the incorporation effort. It's time to pick it up now. We've been talking about what to do with facilities here for many, many, many years. So I invite you all into that discussion. How do we want to move forward?
Personally, I'd like to see us move forward with that, with building a fire department and moving the DPW into the old fire department. How we discussed prior to tonight.
Okay.
Well, I guess if the first step, you're talking and having the chief come up with an idea and a plan as to what he needs for a building, I guess that's the first step. I'm all for starting on that, getting that moving.
Yeah, and that's pretty much on paper program statement. I think, Chief, you could tell us, I think you did that three plus years ago when consideration was given to adding to the building for the sleeping quarters. You prepared, I can see it in my mind's eye, or maybe you can tell us, did you not prepare, and it might have been reduced to a single page, you prepared what I'm calling a program statement of needs, describing the type and nature and numbers of spaces, did you not?
Yeah, that's if we were gonna, when we were talking about doing an addition, yes.
And so what I'm suggesting is if we want to look in that direction, we need to do a similar thing, starting with the assumption that we would move out of this building and build a new fire station as a place to start that discussion in earnest, if that's what the spirit of the board is to do that. I would support that, at least as a direction to head and take a look at it.
I would also support that type of discussion. We would have to come up with some type of budget or estimate on exactly where the building would be and how much it's gonna cost.
We would, and it probably, in my judgment, probably involves, and we embarked on this 3 years ago, it probably involves a solicitation for architectural and engineering services, preliminary services, so there's preliminary plan, budget goes with it, and that type of thing. That would be the next step if we get that far. Okay. So is there support for that? I mean, we have on this take possible action. I don't know that we need a formal motion on that. I guess that would be our request of Chief to proceed to do that unless somebody strongly objects or wants to head in a different direction. Okay, does that give you some direction, Chief?
I can do that.
I think you can get something together here within the next couple of weeks. We got an awfully full agenda for the 11th of June, so I think not then, but our regularly scheduled board meeting, and I mean, unless we do something separate with the drainage stuff, I mean, we'd be 25th of June. Can you have something developed in time, can go in packets before that so we could try to hit that meeting?
I think so.
Okay. All right, thanks. Thank you. Anything more for 8H? Then we'll go to HI. We've got a series of appointment things here. I is appointment made by the president of a plan commission member for a 3-year term. The appointment would be a reappointment for Mary Cisney. So item J then would be confirmation by the village board of Mary Cisney as a plan commission member per code 2-182B2 for the term ending April 30th, 2023, previously held by Mary Cisney, so it would be a continuation, a 3-year term that would require board confirmation in order to proceed. Is there a motion to that effect? Also move the confirmation of Mary Cisney as a citizen plan commission member for a 3-year term ending April 30th, 2023, and I so move.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? No discussion. I made the motion. Trustee German, the second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That
I'm sorry,
passes.
that was an aye.
Yeah, we got a whole bunch of ayes there going together, so we're gonna record that as unanimously, staggered but unanimous, okay? Does that work? All right. We are then at item K, which is appointment made by the president of a plan commission member for a 1-year term, again, as a citizen member. The appointment would be for Alan White. Item 8L is confirmation of Alan White as a plan commission member per code 2-182B2 for 1-year term. Term ends April 30th, 2021, previously held by Alan White. Would someone like to make that a motion for confirmation?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion by trustee German, second by trustee Stigler. A 1-year term, citizen member on the plan commission for Al White, term ending April 30th, 2021. Any discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. 8M, appointment made by the President of Plan Commission, member for 1-year term. Again, this is the position currently held by Scott Fuller. I'll pass that along to Kathy so she can give it formally to people, but he has asked not to be reappointed. So we'll skip on past that and try to make a priority to get those 2 open Plan Commission citizen members filled in quick order. Item 8O, appointment made by the President of the Zoning Board of Appeal member for a 3-year term. The appointment would be for Paul Slavich. And item 8P then is confirmation of Paul Slavich as a Zoning Board of Appeal member per Wisconsin Statute 62.237E2 for a 3-year term. The term would end on April 30th, 2023, previously held by Paul Slavich. So this would be a 3-year continuation. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll move to approve Paul Schlavich for a 3-year term on the Board of Appeals.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, the motion by trustee Stigler, second by trustee German. I don't think I need to repeat the motion. Everybody understands it. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes unanimously, 5-0. Then item Q is appointment made by the Village Board of a Fire Commission member per Wisconsin Statute 62.13, sub 1 for a 5-year term. Term ends April 30th, 2025, previously held by Doug Campbell. That I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kathy or John, that is an appointment that does not require board confirmation. Is that correct? That's the way it's agendized?
Yeah, the village board actually makes the appointment, not the chairman.
Village board, all right,
Or the
then.
president.
Okay, then we need the village board to act on that. Thank you. Good correction. So is there a motion to make that appointment by someone on the village board? All right, I'll
this-
make the I'm sorry,
Is that,
you got it, huh?
is that Doug Campbell now wants to come back on again? Is that this reappointment? Is that what this is?
Yes, yes.
I would move to do that.
Okay, I'll second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, 8R is discussion and possible action on the continuation of Wisconsin Towns Association membership. Kathy, I think you asked to put that on.
I did. We have in your packet, the information on the cost for, not I had it in the packet, for the Towns Association, now that we're a village. I needed to know if you wanted to move forward and stay as part of the Towns Association membership. We have, the Towns Association has other villages, such as the village of Mertens. It stays on, it's a smaller community as well, so they stay on as part of the Towns Association. We will be getting some information from the League of Municipalities, that association, in the future. I spoke with them and they'll be getting us a welcome package and come in and talk to us, or talk to you about that. But but I just wanted to know, would the board like to stay on the, association, the Towns Association at this time? So I can pay the fee or not?
How much is the fee?
Find out what
Okay, well, buy a little bit of time.
Is the fee paid through the end of the year?
Well, we haven't paid it yet. I held it because we knew the,
Oh, so we're not.
So we're not a member in good standing right now.
Thank you for that clarification.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think it starts in April every year, so.
So we're a good delinquent member.
I would say we're delinquent.
Without knowing what these numbers are, things, we wouldn't be a member of both, I wouldn't think, would we?
You can, yes. I believe the Village of Merton is a member of both. It's just if you feel that you would have. If you feel that the board will, benefit from the towns still going to the Towns Association meetings, then that would be something you'd want to discuss. If you give me just a second, I'll go and see what the price
Okay.
is.
Did you want to wait until she's back to discuss that, or no?
Well, I don't care. I mean, if you got thoughts about it, or maybe John does, no, we can go ahead and talk.
I mean, I think the Towns Association has served us excellent. There's nothing that has substantially changed in our physical, geographical, or for the most part, political makeup. I think the publication that they put out monthly is well done. So depending upon the price here, I would be an advocate for staying, but if we could afford it in the years past, I can't imagine that we can't now.
I have to agree with you, Mike, on that. The letter and the information they put out for towns is phenomenal. My question is, does that pertain to villages also, the ordinances and information they put out in their newsletter? I mean, it's a great organization, as far as I'm concerned, the state, the things that they send out, and the information that they keep us up to date on.
I think there's some things that are very town-specific, such as the town grants that they give out, or things that there are some things that are very specific to just towns, but I think, Attorney Macy, you're pretty familiar with both, correct?
Yes.
Could you help us with that
Well, I
discussion?
think the Towns Association, as has been represented, tries to also assist villages, usually smaller villages, to be honest with you. But so some of their information will be applicable to you. Okay, probably all of the league, although obviously the league caters to all sizes, and all issues. So it's also a good organization. I can't support, I obviously I belong to both, so I can't pick one over the other. It's just whether you feel like it's a policy decision, you feel like you'll be getting. Now, the other thing I wanted to make sure, though, in the due statement, is there a recommended amount or is there a mandatory amount? I'm always confused when I see
I
this.
think that what I'm just reading is take a look at it, or Kathy, but we got a 2021 WTA dues statement dated April 10th, so I'm assuming this covers 1 year. Does it annually renew in April or what or not? And they're showing $1,299. It doesn't look to me like that's negotiable. Part of it's a function pay based on population of 9,381 people is $699, and then another population thinks $600. $1,299 for a year. We have that in our budget, do we?
We do.
So, we could, I guess we could continue with this. At this point in time, I would like to see what what is it, League of Municipalities or whatnot? I guess I'd like to see what they have to offer and at what price
Yes.
too, but if that takes a bit of time to do it, do we want to move this forward at this point in time? And as much as,
I guess I would be in favor of continuing, at least for this year yet, and see what happens as far as how it's pertinent to us, and if we get any value out of it, then next year reevaluate it again, look at the municipality thing and see what that offers.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, everybody understand the motion? So that's to rejoin or continue membership in Wisconsin Towns Association for $1,299 for 2020 to 2021 dues. Okay, so motion was by trustee Stigler, second by trustee Durr. Any further discussion? All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, then,
Thank you.
thank you, and I think Kathy wants to chat a bit about it. I'm gonna suggest that 8S, T, and U are kind of related. If we get a little bit off topic, I think that's okay. Do you want to a little bit lay out some of the decisions before us, please?
So one of our decisions is, or one of your decisions, I should say, is if you, one, wanted to keep the village name as Village of Waukesha, or if you wanted to change the name, because before we change any logos, we want to make sure that you're solid with the name Village of Waukesha. So one of the things when I was doing the work for the incorporation, I did want to mention that I came across the town of Waukesha, before it became the town of Waukesha, was the village of Prairieville. And it became the town of Waukesha when the Waukesha County, the county seat became the county and was called Waukesha. So at that time, the board had made the decision to change the name from Prairieville to Waukesha. So I just wanted to bring it up. This, if you were going to change the name, this would have been the time before we start redoing logos. If you don't have a flavor, that's fine. I just wanted to bring it up so you understood that this would be the time.
Talk about screwing up the Amazon delivery guy.
Well, fortunate enough, your address would not change.
Mailing address would stay the same.
Your mailing address would stay the same. The difference is that you would be living in a different name than the village of Waukesha or the town of Waukesha.
You'd be living in a different village than your mailing address.
That's correct.
Yeah. I'll kick this off. I have not, all due respect to the gentleman that came, I think it was the last meeting that brought this up, and he extended me a phone call also. And I communicated to him, I don't get a lot of flavor for this in the community, and I would be concerned about the pitchforks out front if we did.
I guess that's kind of where I'm at. I'm gonna tell you, my heart would be at Village of Prairieville or something unique. I can't quite get my head there because I mean, I don't have a sense whether that would have support or tremendous backlash or not.
I'm not all in favor of changing it, but I did have the Village of Prairieville in my mind. If we have to do this, that would be my only consideration, but I just don't want to end up turning it out to be the Village of Lilacsville or something, you know, petunias or whatever, some kind of flower, you know. I just don't think that'll work, but I'm all for leaving it as it is, in my opinion.
Okay, so it kind of sounds like everyone's in that.
I think that Prairieville, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, as I say, I'm fine with the Village of Waukesha.
You like the village of Waukesha? I think that do we know the history of this Prairieville? I mean, do we know when it started, when it was
Middle
actually?
1800s, I think.
Yeah,
something like that.
1840.
Yeah.
1846.
I wasn't around for that before you start there, John. I was just that I have heard.
Yeah.
It's an intriguing piece of history, and I agree with Bob that if we were going to change that would probably be the only option. I actually kind of like the idea because it distinguishes us from the city of Waukesha, which I would very much like to do.
It has merit, that's for sure.
Yep.
That being said, I think that your point of confusion and maybe whether or not it would be taken well within the citizenry is anybody's guess. I have absolutely no idea.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Is there any way to find out? Is there any way to table this? And when you said the time is of the element, of the essence,
We just,
right?
before we start putting any
Right.
actual money, the next step would be, and you could discuss this at the same time, is, do we want to stay with the same logo, or do we want to do some kind of a different type of logo? Right now we have the tree. And is it something that maybe we put out to the citizens to see if they
How
want to
difficult is
work?
that to do? I've never actually participated in that particular process. Is is there anything less than an all-out referendum? I mean, is there a method of giving comment aside from just here at the meetings?
I'm going to just jump into one thing. One of the things, is a little bit going sideways on this, if we had, which we don't, but if we got 9,381 people, leave young children out of it for a bit, if we had 2/3, 3/4, 80% of the people electronically connected, that we could send something out and say, here, weigh in, and you might even shudder to suggest something like that, but I mean, if we had a way that we could do that, that would be one thing. I mean, I think we're kind of beyond just the expense, the effort of doing mailings and all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure. I mean, I just don't think it's in the cards to, I mean, could you put an advisory question on the August election? Again, maybe I need to keep my social distance. You might kick me under the table or what or not, but can we delay it that long? Let's just do one thing and come back to it a little bit, but I mean, what kind of hangs in, I know Kathy's been giving a lot of thought to it. I mean, we're basically looking at, internet domain name, we're looking at email.
Right.
I mean, we're looking at stationery. I mean, not that all of this has to happen lickety-split, but I mean, the further we get downstream with this, it's going to be that much harder to unwind.
Right, so
if
we
we're
have
ever
the
mind to do it.
sign out front, our building identification, the awning out front that says Town Hall. We have all of the new address signs that our residents purchase for $50 a pop that now say the town of Waukesha.
They're actually going to have to do that again anyway, correct?
Either way,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
they'll have to do that either way. But yeah, the naming convention, how we want the website, that type of thing. I think the first thing is we gotta settle on name. If you're interested in doing something different, then we go in a different direction. But if you are all solid on staying with Waukesha, Village of Waukesha, then we can move on with the next step, so. I just wanted to bring it up, so then
Right.
we knew
Well, this is the
which
first I've
direction we're
heard of
going
that,
in.
and
Yeah.
it's an interesting proposition, and once you make a decision, you're going to be stuck with it for another 200 years.
That's correct.
So I just thought I'd say that.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose, and maybe you'll kick me from that side of the table. I mean, I suppose we could put out I don't know, I suppose we could put a postcard mailing out. What did that cost us for the referendum? Was it $1,900 or something
Yeah,
like that
under
by the time we
2,000,
got done
yeah.
with it? I mean, if we wanted to spend $2,000 and tell people, you've got until thus and so to weigh in, is that an inappropriate thing to do? Would you advise against that or not?
Oh, I'm all, the chairman is saying this because I think he knows from our conversations, I'm not a big advocate of referendums and things like that.
Sure.
And I'm for polling the people, sending stuff, or hiring a school class to put together a survey and going door to door and really getting good, solid information, And the toughest part with the postcard, just like the last one, is the wording. Now, maybe this wording would be very simplistic, but
Sure.
there's always somebody who criticizes your wording that you tainted it, one side or the other. Maybe this would be so simple,
I mean, is it possible to do that? Maybe that's worth the investment to do that, but I mean, that would have to have pretty much a crisp date that says you gotta respond by thus and so, and I guess we say Village of Waukesha, Village of Prairieville. I mean, what kind of response might we get from that? How many of those do we send out that in total?
So I guess I'm asking you, John, before you say that, you said making a choice. Are you gonna put on there do you have the choice between the village of Waukesha and the village of Prairieville, or are you just gonna put out there, do you want
Well,
to
that's,
remain the village of Waukesha, or do you have another?
I guess that's for us to decide, or fill in the blank with something else. I guess
I just get
those
to
choices
the
would be
point,
for us.
you're gonna overwhelm this whole thing with more information than we need. We're gonna have 15,000.
And it's gotta be pretty simple.
So if you do it as simple as, you know, would you like the village to stay as the village of Waukesha or change the name to the village of Prairie? And not give choices?
I would just as soon save the $2,000 and the first 40 residents to come in and get free address signs.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm not in favor of putting a mailing out for this at another cost.
okay.
I think to even make that effective or to even make it worth your while, you would first have to let people know the history of what you're talking about. You would have to somehow educate everybody that that was in fact the name of this area before we changed it to the town of, or to the town of Waukesha. And for how long it was, and maybe get as much history as you could. Because that's really the only appeal to that particular name.
The other thing that concerns me just a bit, and this is going to be a little bit unclear, but we're going to be talking about an item here in closed session shortly. I'm not sure whether we want to mess with name changing and stuff at this point in time.
That was gonna be one of my suggestions, but I didn't wanna bring it up at this point.
Well, I just did.
I guess.
Good, better, and different. All right, are we resolved with some reluctance to stay with Village of Waukesha, or do you want to try to do something else?
I'm okay keeping it.
David, are you weighed in? Mike,
We-
your pleasure?
Leave it the way it is.
I guess my head's winning over my heart. It says stay Village of Waukesha. You want to be out there on the fringe, go ahead.
I'm gonna be out there on the fringe. I'm gonna say,
Okay.
let's go with Prairieville.
Okay. Do we need to formally act on that?
Sure, I think it would be good to have in the record if somebody wanted to
I
make
agree.
a motion to, you know, put it to rest for the time being, as of tonight, you know.
All right.
Is this all subject to change? Is that
Who
what
wants
you're
that
saying, John?
motion?
Get 100 calls.
Who wants it?
What's the motion?
Whatever you want.
To remain the Village of if that's where somebody's going, looks like a majority, remain the Village of Waukesha, so let's make that motion.
I'll make the motion to keep it Village of Waukesha.
Second. I'll second it.
Oh, I thought that's what you did. I thought you said second it. I didn't know you were looking for a second. You're good.
Okay.
Not to split hairs here, but we have item S on discussion village rename, logo and building identification sign. We have item T on discussion on request made concerning new village address signs. And we have item U on discussion and possible action, email naming convention, hard date, go live date, and website. We're okay that we're taking action on something this big without something saying discussion and action on the village name?
Well, that I think is S. Discussion on village rename. That's what that was intended to be, I
It doesn't say
think,
any
Kathy.
action, it's just discussion.
Oh, I see what you're
And
saying.
all of the remaining items typically, when we end in
All
a
right,
vote,
okay.
say discussion and possible action.
Okay. All right, so what do we want to do? I understand your point of
Well,
view.
we had our discussion. Let's see if we get feedback.
Okay. All right, then we'll continue to discuss.
Before we leave this, Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman, can
go.
we ask the clerk to contact Lang Signs about the possibility of a high-grade sticker to change from town of, well, actually, it would just be town. So we'd be looking for an identical match in color and identical reflective properties to change the word town to village for people who already have address signs and what that would cost for the number of address signs that we currently have. And then we could make some decisions about whether we'd want to eat that or charge people or. But I think it's a reasonable solution to have people go out and buy another $50 sign.
Yeah.
We really push people aggressively to do that. It's what I would do, so.
Could we
If that's an
ask
option, I
her
think
as
that's
well,
great.
hitchhiking on that, could we ask her as well to have Lang make an exemplar, or whatever you call it, of one that would say Village of, for people getting new ones, do both of those?
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
Is that, yeah, right? That's a reasonable request. Can you do that and bring that back? Do you want to say something?
No, I think that's a reasonable request as well.
Okay,
Have our sign made, our new sign made, so we can have an example of what
all right.
Okay, thank you.
we have.
Logo, building identification sign, again, we're kind of jumping between all of these. Which one do you want to go to next? Do you want to go to, well, we're on S, T, and U and everything in between. You want to do U? Go ahead.
Okay, so, it looks like after I polled everyone, that, the best, email to use would be a .com, not a .org. So the majority of you said .com. So, I did hold, before anybody else held it, I did hold the, villageofwaukesha.com and .org, because I could have them look at each other, whatever one you picked. But one of our things that we'd have to change also is the naming of our emails, and we had some problems with our naming convention in the past by making everybody a supervisor, and then the next supervisor comes in, has the same name as Supervisor 1, Supervisor 1. In your case, I changed it so then it was your first initial, last name, and that is the possibility of the new naming convention is instead of using trustee, 1, 2, 3, and president, and 4, and president, it would be your first initial, last name at villageofwaukesha.com, for example.
So right now it's .us.
It's .us, correct?
Why would we not stay with that? And go to villageofwaukesha.us?
We could. I just went with Oregon.com because it was the most commonly used.
I looked at, for us, and I gave Kathy a thing, there was an interesting thing came out today from somebody at the county, unrelated to this, but talking about applications for FEMA grants for unexpected costs that we incurred for the coronavirus thing, and it is a blast from the county to, clerks and, mayors, presidents, chair people, whatever, that type of thing. I think it's like 104 names in the list. I looked at those. Most of those are first initial, last name at, city of blah, 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 town of blah, 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 village of blah, 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 there's more of them, I think, that are .com than .org. They're next to none of those that are .us, not that we have to be conformists, but most of those in Waukesha County, at least the way I looked at it, would you agree with that? Most of them are first initial, last name at municipality.com.
It is a mixed bag, but yes, that's the normal
More,
convention.
more of those than others.
Yeah, that's what it is at the county as well, is first initial, last name at waukeshacounty.gov. Same as the state.
Right, that's a very common format, I think they use that at Marquette as well.
Yeah.
I think that's perfectly reasonable.
And the headache we've had is when people change, and it's very, and we had a conversation with Nick Bamboulas, is that his name, I think? From Gordon Flesh, and I thought he almost said like maybe 1% of them are position only kind of thing of the problem, and it's been a real headache is when we have changing of the guard type of thing, you get linked into somebody else's old email, and if and when they cut it off, it's just, it's a mess. Bob inherited mine, Kathy changed it a bit, but I mean, you inherited Larry's, I inherited John's and stuff. It's a mess. Let's, just for a minute, we got discussion, possible action on you, but email naming convention. Okay, I guess we're doing that. We need to vote on the villageofwaukesha.com, and we need to vote on the email stuff as well. We probably should take formal action on those, right? Okay.
The other part of this is a hard date. So we spoke about the transfer of going from, you know, all of your emails to the new email system, you know, the new naming convention. And then also all of your old, that will still keep the town of Waukesha supervisors, and we would send all of those emails to your new email box, but we would have to come up with some kind of a hard stop date. How long do you want to keep using Supervisor 4, Supervisor 1, or Chairman, and have those filtered into the village trustees with your first initial last name. So we kind of have to have a hard stop date for them to know when to stop driving those in.
Do we, and I'm running, was that in our packet, but don't we also have a proposal that came from Gordon Flesh? Is that in here? Wasn't that $1,050 or something like that to do this?
To make that change, yes it is.
Is
It's
that
not in the
in?
packet.
Okay, so probably any motion to do this would need to acknowledge that expenditure of money to do that. They had a proposal, a number of hours for technician or supervisor, what or not. Apparently that would not come with what we are, service they're providing now. That would be an additional charge. Is that
That's
your
correct.
understanding?
Yes.
So now we got stuff spread all over the road. You want to make a motion?
I was just gonna ask what this motion would look like.
Yeah, I know, and I'm
It's
kind of,
complicated.
it seems like it's a book.
It's multifaceted. Do you want to take a shot at it? You want to take a piece at a time, or you want to put it all together?
I'm a simple guy. I'll
Okay.
make a motion that we continue the use or the maintenance of the supervisor titles and have that forwarded to a date that would end May 31st of 2022. 2 years.
Can I question that? I'm just curious, I'm not the tech guy here, but why go out that far out? Is there a reason for that, or?
I'm making a motion to keep things moving.
Okay.
Anybody want to second it?
And would you add to that motion that the naming convention be?
Well, he's
first-
keeping it
first
simple.
initial,
I'm
last
gonna
name?
try to
Let's just
tackle
start
these
with a
one
piece at a time.
All right.
I couldn't even get a second in there already talking about it.
But I think you've gotta answer the trustee's question. I mean, the point is that if someone writes you at your old address for 2 years, it'll be forwarded to you.
I get that, and I
They
guess I'm
won't use it.
questioning, do we need to have that forwarded for 2 years?
That's pretty standard.
Is it?
Let me just so okay. I will, for discussion purposes, I'll second the motion, even though I don't fully understand it, okay? So I'll second the motion. So what, and I want to understand what the question is. Part of it is when we're going to make the change, but the other part of it is how long the existing ones remain in existence. Is that what we're dealing with?
Right, it's the hard date would be how long that will be in existence, and those emails that go to your current email box would be forwarded to your new box that is not created at this point.
No, I've had mine for about a month, so the only thing I've got coming in is any communication from you. Is the rest of the board using them for, is the use that you're getting out of your email much more diverse than what I'm getting, or is it still simply just town or village business?
I restrict my supervisor 3 user ID or a town account to 100% town business only. I have no personal or other business that I conduct on my supervisor 3.
If that was the case, we should be able to swap over relatively quickly, couldn't
Yeah.
we?
It's just the residents are, and the books that we put out right now still have
Right.
everybody as supervisor 1, supervisor 2.
Right, but
So your
the
emails-
correction would be on the website.
Right.
Just, I guess, to get to this, if we're gonna do this, we would have new email addresses, which would be first initial, last name at villageofwaukesha.com, and those would be available and active immediately. It's just how long we continue to have those others in existence as well. Is that, am I making it too simple? Is that my understanding?
That's my understanding.
That's my understanding as well.
Technology, it's,
When
Not
does
much to
the new book come out, the new, or the new publication?
Well, they're actually holding it for us. So I asked, they were supposed to publish it at the beginning of May, the county does, and I said we were hoping to be a village, because we weren't a village at that
Right.
time. And then I called her after we were the village and said, we're looking at naming conventions for our email, and she said, well, we'll hold it for you.
So we could publish that immediately,
We could
change the
publish it,
emails,
yep.
and then forward them for the next 2 months, 3 months, couldn't we?
well,
It's
the
up
motion
to
is
you.
for 2 years.
Yep.
That would stay in existence, and I don't know, I don't think there's a downside to that.
No, there's no downside to it.
Okay.
I mean, that's just why I picked 2 years, and
Well,
when
that answers my-
businesses do this kind of stuff, they usually go between 2 and 5.
That answers my question. I
Yeah.
guess I didn't.
So-
There's no downside, so I didn't,
So we're taking this in bits and pieces. Does everyone understand the motion that Mike made and I seconded it? Okay, then we're gonna vote on that. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed. Okay, now you wanna pick up the next piece?
what are we working on now? Naming convention?
Sure.
First initial, last name at village of
Yep, so I will
Waukesha
make a
dot com.
motion that email addresses moving forward will be first initial, last name at villageofwaukesha.com.
I second.
Okay. Motion by trustee Dur, second by trustee Kalinsky. Everybody understands that motion? There will be no discussion. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Okay, next item.
Go live date, you need that? Kathy?
ASAP?
Yeah, we can do it as soon as we can get them to
You don't
rush
need-
it, if
you don't
that's
need
fine,
that then.
then I don't need it. Website, we can have this, I can get a quote from the same company that we have our website through right now. On changing it over, and also at the same time, one of the things that our website hasn't been able to do is it's not real ADA compliant at this point, and I didn't want to change it while we were in the middle of this, so that would be the best time to do that if we're gonna make a change.
What isn't
bring something
ADA
forward.
compliant?
Our website, so then if someone can't see the color changes, that they can, if
Oh.
they're having trouble with color, they can change the color. and
Okay.
There's a couple other things that they can do on the,
Okay.
to make it easier for our disability community.
We need a motion then on the name of the website, do we?
I'll make,
I think I'll bring that forward. Let me bring, unless it's just the Village of Waukesha, well, it's gonna be the villageofwaukesha.com. It's gonna be is correct?
well, let's
This
make a
is it.
motion and let it pass, and then
Alright.
you'll know.
Thank
I
you.
make a motion that the website would be villageofwaukesha.com.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Dur, second by Supervisor German. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we need any further discussion on any of those items? I mean, I think in due course, we can get to building identification sign, all that kind of stuff. Discussion about logo or whatever. I mean, we got some of the thing kind of on the wall behind us on the stationery, the tree, that type of thing. Do you want to have, I mean, do you want to get somebody to run through a stationery thing and just pass it by people or whatever? Are you comfortable with that? What do you want to do?
At the stationery that I've been putting out right now, and I just changed the word town to village, and that's all I did.
I understand.
And I changed I changed the last sign, it said, established 1842. I put formerly known, formerly Town of Waukesha, established 1842, just so then I could do something real quick.
That's
Like-
fine for a temporary thing.
Yeah.
Maybe what we should do though is have you, I mean, well, I guess let me even ask this. I know we're doing a lot of things electronically. Do we have envelopes and that type of thing? I mean, do we have stationery and we have use for some of that?
We do have our envelopes that have our logo and address on, otherwise, our
Okay.
stationery is all done on the fly.
I mean, can we get just an example of that or what or not to
Sure.
take a look at? Okay, anything else about any of those items?
Do we need to work on that $1,050? Does that have to be
Yes,
approved?
I think we need a motion for that.
I would so move to pay that.
I'll second it.
Okay, and you can put the words into that motion, exactly what that proposal was describing for, if we know what it is. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes. Then we are on to, we did V and W, we moved those up, so we're on to item 9, announce closed session number 1. You're notified that the village board of the village of Waukesha will convene and may upon motion duly made and seconded and acted upon by roll call vote as required under Wisconsin Stats 19.85 1C, go into closed session during the course of the meeting. Village board members may attend the closed session. The purpose of the closed session will be as follows: to confer with legal counsel of the government body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the board with respect to litigation in which it is likely to become involved, specifically to discuss City of Waukesha versus Village of Waukesha. Is there a motion to go into closed session for that purpose?
I'll make a motion to go into closed session for that purpose.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion by supervisor, motion by trustee German, second by trustee Kalinsky. Roll call vote, please.
President Fisher?
Aye.
Trustee Dur?
Aye.
Trustee Kalinsky?
Aye.
Trustee German?
Aye.
Trustee Stigler?
Aye.
Okay, we are at closed session at 8:32 PM.
Everybody's getting up and leaving.
Yeah.